all of us have our early morning routines that we all do throughout the day, whether it's hitting the snooze button on your alarm 2 or 3 more times, or taking a cold shower. And if you don't, then the one routine you should get in is eating breakfast. And that's why I agree with Gunther's quote that all happiness depends on a leisurely breakfast. And I will talk about the consequences of not having a good breakfast compared to the benefits of eating an awesome breakfast. So every morning, I usually make like oats or eggs and stuff. And I notice that if I don't eat breakfast, I'm really like sluggish, and I want to go back to sleep, and I'm not very like energetic. And there's a reason why most people say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, because if you don't really have anything to start your day off, you're gonna feel like the whole world's against you. Or if you don't have your morning coffee, you're gonna feel all sluggish and you're gonna not like life that day. My mom is a great example, because if she doesn't have her morning coffee, she's really mean. She's mean to me, she's mean to my dog. She doesn't want to drive my sister to school, so she makes me do it, and I don't get to eat my breakfast, and it makes me mean. It's kind of like a domino effect of bad stuff when she doesn't have her breakfast. But when she does have her breakfast, she's really nice. She actually makes all of us breakfast too, which is nice. And then she doesn't wake me up early, so I don't have to take my brother and sister to school. And that allows me to have a great day. Another example is my math teacher. You can tell when he doesn't have his coffee. He'll just be looking at the board, drawing stuff on the board, not really engaging with us. But if he has his coffee, you can tell that he loves what he's teaching, and he wants us to be engaged, and he doesn't really have like a monotone voice, and he's not really looking at the ground. He's engaging with the students one-on-one, and it looks like he's having a great day. And so, in conclusion, having a great breakfast makes life awesome. Thank you.
All right, Anthony, I like the attention device that you had at the beginning, talking about your morning routine. I thought you made a good transition to what the topic was and your point of view there was going to be. You actually had a little bit of a preview talking about, what the consequences of not having a good breakfast are and what the benefits are going to be. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for in terms of structure. The examples that you came up with are okay. sometimes lack detail. The best one is when you're describing how your mom treats you when she doesn't get her cup of coffee. I sort of like that, so that's one of the consequences of doing those sorts of things. Sounds a little just kind of like, well, let me give the flip side of the same kind of example when you're talking about your other instructor. And I think maybe you're sometimes being a little too literal on the quote here, just about mood and attitude. I'm sure there are other things that could apply and would give you a little chance to speak more. If you also had maybe an additional point in your plan, you'd have probably found a little bit more to add to the speech. As it was okay, but when you only have a simple kind of plan and simple content, it's going to go kind of quickly, and it's probably not going to leave a deep impression. Presentation issues. Your voice is fine. Sometimes when you're speaking, I don't know how to explain it. It sounded to me a little bit like you're kind of not choking on the words, but having a hard time getting a word complete while you're speaking it. I'd have to play back the video for you because it's hard to describe. And it's not something that happens all the time. It sometimes sounds like it's maybe a transition thing that you're doing. When you watch your own speech, see if you can pick out the sections where that I'm talking about here. I hope that you'll be able to. If not, don't worry about it. You're probably fine, and I'm just imagining something. The gestures, you had a lot of gestures. Sometimes I thought the gestures were a reflection of anxiety. Sometimes they were very purposeful. When you turn to draw on the board like you're doing your math instructor, I can tell, well, this is a deliberate action that's trying to mimic and show how the math instructor acts in that situation. But there are a lot of other times when you have gestures that you're doing that don't look like they're part of or describing something. It's anxious movement, and it's coming out a little bit in your hands. I think you cover it up most of the time, but sometimes you don't. And the same thing is true with your body movement. There was one part early in the speech where it looked like you were kind of standing halfway sideways, where you're kind of just angled over talking to this side of the room, even though there are fewer people over there, and kind of looking askance at the audience instead of looking directly at them, kind of like that. You got better, so it wasn't consistent throughout the presentation, but at the beginning I thought it was noticeable. I did think that you had a reasonable exit at the end too. I appreciate that. Thank you.